Hello, this is Overlord Nigel and
Zalia Rose,
aka Jenna.
also known as the wife.
Yeah, isn't she sweet? I'm getting death glares here, you can't see, but it's quite funny. Anyway, and we are doing the top 10 saddest game moments. Now, this one's going to be an interesting one because we're not... they're my top 10 gaming moments, not anyone else's. You might not agree, and if you don't, well, go cry to someone who cares, because frankly, I don't. Now, I'll be explaining why I think it's a sad moment, and blah, as a gamer. Now, Jenna isn't a gamer. Apart from Pokemon, she hasn't somehow, even though she's marrying me, hasn't got into it yet. So, what I've done is I've got Jenna to watch these scenes, or the bits that have made, I think, are emotional, and she'll be talking as a non-gamer.
So pretty much, I will just be taking the scenes as face value and telling you all what I think of it.
Yep. Now, before we start, I've got 2 honorary mentions. I didn't make it on the list, but, well, one's for me and one's because Wolf will kill me if I don't. I've got a special mention on here. So, honorary mention. Now, I've barely played Gears of War 3. Actually, this is probably a good time to mention that these top 10 have to be games I've either played or have watched play through. Because there's no point trying to get me to put up, well, so-and-so's death from this was really upsetting, or blah, 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 because I haven't seen it. How am I going to care? I mean, once
more my kind of comment, really.
Yeah, I mean...
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, once I've played it, bam, well, hey, I might update later. But, feel free to tell me some games that are going to make you cry, because, well, it might be interesting to play. But anyway, yep, Dom's death. As I said, basically this is the bit where he blows himself up trying to save the world, and all that lot. But,
even I found it upsetting, because I've seen the video.
Yep, it's just, for me, it wasn't a big thing, because, of course, I've not played the games, I don't know the characters. And as far as I was concerned, it was some goofball jumped into a car and drove into a bunch of propane tanks. Which, a bit upsetting.
He was sacrificing himself. It's it is upsetting.
Yeah, I can understand that, that's what someone mentioned. The other one is in Resident Evil 3, when you see Raccoon City getting blown up. Now, it's not like a scene that you go, "Woo!" over. But for me, it was a very upsetting scene because, of course, I'd grown up with Resident Evil. That is my generation of survival horror along with Silent Hill. But for me, personally, Silent Hill came later. Don't tell Henrietta. And for me, it was quite an upsetting moment because the city that I'd kind of lived in as a gamer just went boom. And, it was quite a big dramatic scene. Also, the fact that, now it's more upsetting because that was the last of, in my opinion, the true Resident Evil games. Because 4 turned up, and, well, don't hate me, 4 is a good game, better than 6, anyway. A
gag that I want to do, but I know I mustn't.
Thank you, sweetheart. It just didn't roll with me. But, anyway, that's the honorary mentions done, so let's get this thing started. Number 10. Wesley getting corrupted in Portal 2. Now, this is one I've actually watched played more than actually played myself. But I watched this cute little floating ball thing that talks to you in a really silly accent, and who's a complete idiot, biggest moron on the planet, obviously. Who, tries to save your life and who you try to help get out. And you just see him slowly, as the scene goes on, the lights get darker and more redder. He starts talking, and you just see him slowly go mad, and you just think, oh, but I liked him. He was so cute. And it is very much you feel sorry for him as well as yourself, because obviously you're about to get kicked in by the biggest bloody moron on the planet. But just to see him go from that lovable person into someone not that nice.
The clip that I saw, you could even see the friendship straight away from the first couple of comments that they said to each other before he got plugged in, and then got taken over by the kind of virus, I guess.
Yeah, the system.
It's technically a virus.
Yeah. For those who haven't played, basically,
Like
the system that he was plugged into has a program that gives you what they refer to as the itch. It's a thing that makes you test. So it sort of forces the program into it. And the side effect is it does turn the AIs nasty. As you find that GLaDOS, the big villain from the first 2 games, actually is quite a nice person. Once she gets out of the system. So, you know, it's...
Yeah, because you see the switch. When he starts becoming evil, she
she
slowly starts to become
nicer
normal again.
I mean, she's a complete cow to start with, once you get her out. But, you know, she slowly
Lots
sorts
and
herself
lots of
out.
sarcasm.
Yeah. But anyway, now to number 9. Now, this is Alice's death from the Shadow Hearts ending. Now, this doesn't make much sense actually just watching this clip, but basically through the game, you find the main character's basically cursed. He's gonna die. I won't spoil it too much, but she makes an agreement with the evil masks to change her life for his. And it's the canon ending, so even if you do all that hard work, you can't really get much out of it, because the next game she's dead anyway. But for me it was quite upsetting, because you get through the whole game, and this whole love develops, it's really romantic, and then you're travelling on the train, and about halfway through you see she's gone. And he doesn't realise until right near the end, where, you know, obviously it's quite painful for him.
Yeah, because her head sort of falls to the side, and then that's when you kind of click properly that she is gone.
Yeah.
Because obviously I only saw the clip. I've seen you play the beginning, and that's really it. But then I've also seen that clip of the end. And yeah, even for me it is kind of upsetting, because you kind of do see the relationship and what she's saying over top of the animation. And yeah, I'm not kind of, oh my god, she's dead, and start blurring my eyes out, because obviously I don't really know the characters very well. It's still quite, oh, that's sad. They're not able to be together.
Right, now, next is number 8, and this is the dog getting shot in Fable 2. Now, I was a bit reluctant on this one, but a bit of peer pressure on shoving this in here, because I wasn't upset, more as really fucked off, because I rather love that dog in Fable 2. Yeah, I know. And it is a very upsetting scene, obviously.
Especially if you're a dog lover.
Yeah. But for me, it was more the fact that, you know, he got away with it at that point. So, you know, it made a slightly iffy one, but, you know, that made number 8.
It's probably because it's just, you know, it's a human bond with a dog, and, you know, that's sad when you hear about anyone's dog go, really. You know, I mean, if, like, my best friend's dog died, I'd still be upset about it. It's kind of that kind of upset. It's not kind of truly emotional. It's just kind of, you feel sorry that it's a life lost.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay. Now, number 7. Tidus fading away in Final Fantasy X. Now, before you start hating me, I know Tidus is an annoying prick. You know, he goes through the whole game and he's just annoying.
I'm glad I've only seen the clip where he goes.
But what you can't deny is that he and Yuna did fall in love, and it is a very strong romance through the game, even if it's a bit batty at points. And the fact that he knew he was going to die but kept it from her and tried to keep her safe. And at the end, of course, he's got no choice. He's got to go. You know, he's fallen apart. You know, and he tries to say goodbye the best way that he could before being Tidus and jumping off the side of a blimp to show off. Or the airship.
Well, considering, you know, she kind of runs at him and goes through him.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you know he's gone.
Yeah, you know, a dream can't live.
Yeah.
I mean, that does kind of get watered down a bit, which is actually why it's lower down on the list. Because, of course, if you've played 10-2, you are aware that he comes back. If you
See, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of You know, love lost again.
Yeah,
kind of like.
That's why I didn't tell you because I didn't want to spoil it.
Oh, so now you tell me.
Yeah, but of course he does come back, which is quite a romantic scene. It just wasn't very sad. But that's why I didn't go on here. But yeah, either way, number 7 is Titus. So now number 6, and we have a joint one here, mostly because it's from the same game, and I didn't really want to spit out. It's Sniper Wolf's death and Grey Fox's death in Metal Gear Solid 1. Now, both the newer and the older versions are very much the same, so I'm going to stick with the older version. That's what I grew up with. Now, these deaths I find are incredibly emotional because for Sniper Wolf, it is the whole coming to peace. Letting somebody know her pain, explaining why she became what she is, and the fact that
underdog.
Yeah, and the fact that for her it's over and there's no more suffering. The same for Grey Fox, except with him it was guilty conscience, and finally getting a chance to make amends for what he did to Naomi's parents and stuff like that, and obviously he hoping that Snake would put it right. Obviously Snake did what he felt was right and lied to her still, but that's beside the point. And both these scenes are incredibly emotional, especially the bit where he's telling Snake to kill him to take out Rex, and of course Snake can't do it because this guy he's got honor and respect for. I mean, technically he's already killed him once, but it's a very different situation compared to Zanzibar Land from I think it's Metal Gear 1. Don't quote me on that.
So the same game?
No, Solid War, different series.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, what was your take on it?
Well, I personally think they should be higher up in the list for me because but this is yours, but my opinion. I mean, I sat there and I heard all of Sniper Wolf's story, and I kind of really felt sorry for her. She's one of them characters who was brought into the world in a really, really bad place, and she was doing anything she could to get out of it. And I will admit I have a soft spot for underdogs. All of my favourite characters from things are underdogs, ones who have come out of really bad situations and at least made it a little bit better. So I think that's also why Fox also, he strikes the same chord. He's done something bad, he's now trying to fix it. And for me, they are emotional because he never got to fix it himself. And Sniper Wolf never really truly got out of the bad situation. She was still always fighting, and she was involved in a war in some way, shape or form. She never truly got away from it until the moment. I think, he kills her?
Yeah,
No,
Snake.
Snake kills her. Because she's been shot and he's just ending it, so it's quicker.
Yeah. Number 5, the flaming stair scene from Silent Hill 2. Now, this one was a mixed emotion for me because it was not only sadness because it is a very upsetting scene, but it's also rage because Silent Hill fucked it up. Not the game company, the actual place. I'm talking in-game here. Now, basically, through the game, you get to know this woman. I've actually forgotten her name of all times to forget something. Again, I'm going to get killed by Henrietta. Who's a friend of ours, before anyone keeps asking who this strange Henrietta woman I keep talking about is.
She absolutely adores Silent Hill, so...
Yeah. But no, basically, through the game, you doesn't directly say, but you patch together, basically, she was abused and raped as a child, and she basically killed her abusive father, and her mother, who agreed with the father, basically kept at her, and she burnt the house down. From what I can guess, she probably killed the rest of her family. And that's haunted her for the rest of all of her life. And when she gets called to Silent Hill, she's looking for her mother. And she is obviously on the wacko side. She's obviously it's got to her. And through most of the game, she is either very childlike or very aggressive. And in this scene, you kind of see everything, but you also see a very somber, sad side. And when James tries to basically get her to come out, because the place is on fire, there's flames everywhere, and it is obviously a very dangerous situation. And then it turns out that the place isn't on fire, it's James seeing through her eyes, and that everything's always forever on fire.
See, I never got that just by watching that clip.
No, you have to play the game for that one. But the fact that she just walks away and it doesn't stop, it doesn't end, you know, James, it ended, he came to terms with what he did. He was able to accept his punishment, you know, find redemption in himself, depending on what ending you get, obviously. Eddie, obviously, Fruit Looped and got killed because of Silent Hill. Well, I mean, you kill him, but it's to do with Silent Hill playing its games. But for her, it doesn't end. And for me, that was incredibly painful and sad thing to see. I mean, what's your...
Well, speaking as... I've never played the games, obviously, as we stated at the beginning of this video. So, I don't... Silent Hill is one of the worst games on the planet to see one scene and try and be able to get the entire story. So just getting them two talking on the stairs... I had no clue what was going on. So I didn't know the backstory at all. I knew nothing. All I had was what they were saying, and it was kind of... You wouldn't get it if you hadn't heard their previous conversations. I think I've only heard the one in the graveyards at the beginning of the game, and that's all I've heard beforehand. So for me that isn't really enough to kind of understand the scene, so for me it wasn't really anything for me. It wasn't upsetting. I was just going, what the heck, to be honest, because I couldn't understand the scene.
Right, also for the benefit of those who haven't played Silent Hill 2, I am currently uploading a full playthrough, of which is almost perfect apart from two little blunders, but obviously watch the video, you'll find them out. So that now leads on to 4. Cortana's slowly dying and / going insane in Halo 4. Now this isn't just one sad moment, this is a whole fucking game full of them. For those who haven't played, or like myself who've spent years trying to hide from Halo, the story is that Cortana is an AI intelligent thing based on human DNA.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, one of those. That has been with the Chief since day 0. Has always believed in him, always been there for him. And after so many years, they start to go insane. They overthink themselves to death. And she's 2 years older than she should have been before the termination. And you actually see her you see through the game her slowly fall to bits. And you see the Chief, and I think it's mostly the Chief, because the Chief's mostly quite emotionless, except when it comes to her. And suddenly you see this whole new character coming up with, you know, feelings of passion and love and caring, not as a, I love you, I want to marry you something, but the companionship, the loyalty, to the point where he's willing to get himself shot to pieces on a ship by disobeying the captain to save her. You know, he literally tells the captain where to go, knowing that if on one order he could be shot to hell and not get out of it, sort of situation. But he took her side, and for me that was quite powerful. And the ending especially, where he's so determined that she is coming with him and that he is going to save her. And it does really hit hard.
I do agree with that. I mean, I have seen a bit more of this game than others, because obviously HPK Adam and Wolf have tried their best to record a playthrough of it. So I've seen bits and pieces over the past month or more. It's the nicest way to put it. So I have seen a little bit more, but not really much to add to the scene where
I'm not
she
coming with you this time.
kind of, well, do you class it as dying considering she's not really alive?
Well, she shuts down,
Most of me is down
but
there.
I mean that she shuts down just before she goes into overload.
Yeah, she goes
so
into.
it's
So
sort
she technically saves herself from going,
It's already done.
yeah.
being destroyed even more. Really.
So possibility that she might come back. You know, in Halo 3, she turned up out of nowhere and saved the world.
I mean, the clip you showed me after they had the whole scene where, you know, them two are, you know, they're never going to see each other again. Which, to be fair, I think should be higher on this list because even watching that scene got to me.
It was my job.
You know, it's them two, they're friends,
We were
they're
supposed to take care of each
close,
other.
they're almost like siblings. They've got that kind of love connection between them. They view each other as family. And the quote that's on the end of the video that I got to see was something from Halo 3 that she tells the chief that she's the one that chose him. Which, for me, I will admit, was close to tears when I saw that quote after seeing, you know, that clip. Because that's the only one on this list that's actually gotten me close to tears, I will admit. But that's just me, because I rate it by how the characters react and what they say and what they do, sort of thing. At the death scene. I don't care what's happened beforehand, it's what happens on the scene itself. So because they're going, you know, you're my best friend, you know, I've known you for years and all of that, that's what kind of really did get to me the most.
Okay, number 3. I hope I get this pronounced right. Gimlo's death in Suikoden after he saves your life. Now, this one's basically Ponzi French evil guy. Yes, French being the operative annoyance. Basically, instead of like fighting you to the death and being manly, because he's French, decides that he's going to release a parasite or spore or something that eats human flesh, which would devour everything in its path until it runs out of food and dies. Now, the team are able to save themselves by getting behind this sealed door. The problem is, the lever to close the door and the parasites are in the same area. Now the leader basically tries to shove everyone out, but he's what can only be described as best mate / nanny, who's basically raised him from a young baby to you know, who still washes his clothes, cooks his meals, looks after him.
So technically like an Alfred to Batman.
Yeah, sort of Alfred to Batman
Bruce
type
Wayne.
thing. Yeah. And of course he basically sacrifices himself, pushes the hero out of the way and closes the door, despite the orders of, no, get yourself back in here, save yourself as well. You know, we might outrun it type routine. Now, the bit that really got to me is the fact that he tries to calm his master down. He's dying, for God's sakes. He's been eaten alive, and his concern is only for his master, his friend. And the one bit that really hit me was the bit where he says, I can't see anymore, but be strong and all that sort of stuff. And that was really the big hitter for me. Because, you know, your last dying breath in the you know, and you're concerned about someone else. So, you know, and I'll tell you how much it got to me. The first time I played it, I ended up wrapped in my brother's arms, crying my heart out. And he says, well, what's the matter? I said, the guy died on the game. He thought it was funny because he hadn't been watching. But I was literally in tears, you know, pouring down. I couldn't stop myself. So, you know, it does really hit.
I mean, I'm the complete opposite on this one. Not being funny. I mean, I haven't played the game. Obviously, I haven't seen you play it, so I've only got the video. I mean, at first, you know, when he's standing there and he is saying all of that stuff and going, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to disobey you. I'm going to save your life," you know, and I care about you and everything. That that did upset me. I was going, oh my god, this is really sad. But then when he's dead, none of them react. So for me, it's like, don't you care?
Well, there was the whole bit where he sat beside him and was like...
Yeah, but you don't get any dialogue or anything, and just dots for me doesn't do anything for me when I read that. I mean, for me, if he was like had, I don't know what games do now when people cry, if they like write cries in the box or something, dialogue box, I don't know. But for me, how I react to death depends on how the other characters react. I mean, the reason I like the Sniper Wolf one, you see the person who loves her get upset, and you see, with the other one from Metal Gear, you see how Snake gets upset when he goes. And I think that's why this one kind of loses it for me, because you don't see any reaction to them. It's just like, he's gone, let's get on with our lives.
I mean, I actually will defend this on this one point. They are in the middle of a war, they don't have time for all the somberness. And also, the reason he just went ... the main characters are mute.
It could still have cries, for crying out loud.
But, Intercoding, for those who've never played it, is a rare game, it's very old. Every character is a mute, apart from that one line at the end, which says, let's finish this. Which, to be honest, I think was actually... you'll probably find that if we look behind the scenes of Suikoden, is actually some guy standing behind every main character going, let's finish this! Because they just do not talk. Hero of the World does not talk. Makes sense. And I will defend that he did actually stop. He did be upset.
You didn't tell me he was a mute till after I watched it. So
Yeah.
I'm saying how I feel about watching it, not knowing that he's a mute, okay? But you could still have, him... showing his actions of him crying. Which is why...
It's a fair thing, but I am defending he's a mute. No.
You can still turn around and
Before
show
this turns into an argument. Number 2. Eris, Death in Final Fantasy VII. Now, this one is still up high, because for me, personally, you got to remember this, is... and it did hit me. The first time I saw it, it really hit me. Now, it has been washed down a lot over the years because of annoying fanboys and stupid twits on the internet who are like, me, who gives a shit? Can't a fag? And it really pisses me off because this is an emotional scene. You get Cloud, who, love interest, not the final love interest in the love triangle, but he's come to save her, he's come to get her, and as soon as he gets to her, they meet, and then it's the sword.
Was it Sephiroth?
Sephiroth plunges the sword in, kills her, and while, alright, maybe the way he talks at the end could have been better, he got the point across. He was hurt, he was upset, he was angry, it was so much rage, and he didn't know what to say. Sephiroth says, don't act like you're hurt, don't act like you're angry, but that's all he could do at that point, because he didn't know what he felt, what to do.
He kind of felt like it was his first love interest, so you can understand him not really knowing what to say.
And it was actually his second, technically, but I can understand that, where you come from. But, it was a very emotional thing. I mean, alright, if you play it for the second time, you know what's happening, it doesn't hit as strongly in the second playthrough. But, I will forever, till the day I probably stop playing Final Fantasy, which is probably when I'm in a urn somewhere being blown up.
That's a nice thought.
Yeah. I will always remember this as the most saddest part of Final Fantasy, and probably the most memorable part of Final Fantasy VII for me. It is the iconic scene. Where are you on this one?
I mean, only the clip. Because I will admit, I can't really watch this one too long. The graphics... the graphics give me a headache. Just like black and white. Yeah, I'm very limited to what I can watch for very long. That's another reason why I don't game so much. But back to the scene, I mean, it does kind of upset me a little bit because, it is, from my point of view, considering I don't know the rest of the story, for me, that is his first love interest. That's the first person he's ever lost. So him kind of fumbling a little bit on what he says, it's kind of understandable. You don't really know what to say when the first time you lose someone. So for me, that is kind of upsetting in that respect, but as a character, I didn't know her very well, so I didn't know whether to really be kind of how upset to be about it, because I don't know her one iota. I didn't go on the internet and look up her complete backstory to find out, if it's yay she's dead or boo-hoo, So for me, just watching it as it was, I was a tad upset because, loss of life in these kind of things is always sad, I don't think I've seen a death scene that hasn't really, at least made you feel a tad sad at first. I'll put that line in there. At first.
I might argue that one. There's a few people I've been quite happy to see dead.
In games.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about games still.
Yes.
Yeah, carry on.
This is what I said in game.
Yeah.
And at first. But obviously, it's kind of, I wouldn't put it so high personally, because obviously, just that clip, I would probably switch it, to be honest, Sniper Wolf and this one, switch them around for me, and that's how I'd feel about it.
Okay, number 1.
Dun dun dun.
Drum roll. Alright, we haven't got a drum roll here, but yeah.
What drum?
Metal Gear Solid 4's ending. The entire thing, apart from that 10-minute segment of talking about GI and MG and
But
Patriots.
at least it gave me this backstory.
Yeah,
to a degree.
To be honest, that's just a giant Deus Ex Machina at the end. But the actual whole half an hour of that is incredibly emotional. I mean, from someone who's again, Metal Gear Solid was my generation. I had played a little bit as I was younger, Metal Gear, but didn't really get it. I was too young to understand a
How
lot
many
of it.
sagas are there of this?
A lot. But, to see, I mean, it was emotional because this was the series coming to a head. That was it. Snake is no more, and you know it.
Is this the last game then?
Well, for Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Raiden's getting his own spin-off series. Please buy.
That's because you like Raiden.
Yeah,
As a character.
I've always liked Raiden. He's cool. Except in 2, he's a bit faggoty. But yeah, anyway, I'm going off topic.
My fault.
But to see not only the end of an era, a lifetime. I mean, I'm 27 now, and I can remember, since my earliest gaming memories, I remember Metal Gear. So we're going over 20 years worth of gaming here. And this is it. This is the end. Snake's final story. But for me, it was the emotion of the characters that really hit. The fact that everybody is dead. Everyone he's ever cared about is gone. It's just him and Boss. And the first bit where he puts the gun to his head because he's got no hope.
He puts it in his mouth.
Yeah. Puts his mouth, and because there's no hope. There is nothing to live for. He stands across the grave of the boss, the only person he's got left. A woman who he's never met, never known, never heard of. It's all he's got left is that grave. Where it all started. And, the despair, the hopelessness, and it's so well captured. And then, of course, he doesn't do it. Because he can't. Because that's not what he is. And then, of course, the big boss turning up. Then it gets kind of a little ruined because Big Boss does the whole explanation about the system. But even then, it talks about everyone, not only everyone that Snake's ever known's dead, but how Big Boss has watched everyone he's ever known, ever cared about die or become corrupted and basically destroyed. Including Major Zero, who you then see him subsequently kill to put an end to everything. You know.
Yeah, but he does put his arms around him. And through everything he's going to put him through, he still turns around and holds him as he's dying.
As he's dying, as he's basically starving, being starved of oxygen.
Suffocating.
He holds him, as a friend, as a comrade, despite the betrayal, despite trying to kill him on 3 separate occasions. Well, this is the 3rd now. He still holds this man as a friend. The respect, the honour is incredible. And then, of course, it then doesn't just stop there. It keeps going, really pulling your heartstrings, because he holds Snake and calls him son. Snake, who's never had a dad, never, he's known that Boss has claimed to be his father, because when he killed the boss the first time in Zanzibar land, Big Boss says, "You are my son. You're meant to be my son." Though he also, even though he admits he's never seen him as a son, and he's actually come to Snake knowing that he would die. He was tipped off. Snake's fox die will kill him immediately. It's built to slowly and painfully kill him within a few moments, sort of thing. But knowing that he still came to his son, to be with his son, to save his son from continuing what's little left of his life, to get him away from the war, to truly let him know he has freedom. Something that through all the games has been the big topic. Personal freedom. Not being part of the machine, not being part of the war, not being someone's pet or pup or whatever. He's free. It's over. And it is an incredible thing. And, the thing continue on to talking about his emotions and how he's seen life and how he thinks that Snake would have made better decisions. How he sees his son, even though he doesn't doesn't think of him as son. This man who should be his child, he thinks would make better decisions, who's a better thinker. The respect is incredible. And then, of course, the whole last words to Boss on her graveside, how she was wrong, how, she was right and wrong. Right about freedom and about people's choice, and that people should be allowed to have that choice. And the fact that, but that she was wrong over the fact that the world only needs one snake, when the truth is it needs no snakes, and the world will be better off without them. And the one that really hits home for me, especially, is, Boss is lying there. He's dying. He's trying to have one last cigar, and he can't. His body's had it. He can't breathe properly. He can barely move. And Snake picks up the cigar. He lights it and puts it back in his mouth and gives him that last bit of pleasure. As he fades away. And it is an incredible emotional piece, because every man needs a father. And he only got his father for a few minutes where he killed him. But at least for those few moments he got that father. And, it doesn't matter how long you're there, as long as you're there when you need to be. And that's what really, for me personally, hits home. A father and a son. And, that's why I made it number 1. Despite a few bickering from a lot of people. This is my number 1, and I'll probably cry in a minute because it is actually getting to me. So, and to be honest, I'm glad it is number 1, because, actually I'm glad I did this, because every game needs, in my opinion, to make you feel those emotions. You know, it isn't. You know, in the old days, it wasn't about guns are blazing and just lots of slaughter. You have to have those emotions. You have to have those ties to characters. Otherwise, it becomes pointless. I mean, this is something that I don't get on with Call of Duty for as well. Because while there are emotional scenes in that, and don't get me wrong, the single player has a good story. But let's face it, the Call of Duty is there for the multiplayer. And that is the modern day of gaming, and that's soulless, it's heartless, it's pointless, in my opinion. And for these games to go out there and try to remember and to bring out these emotions, it's quite important in my eyes. So, good old games. Anyway, before I get too emotional on this one, I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, likes, things.
Am I not allowed my opinion?
Yeah, go on, throw your opinion in.
while you're trying not to cry. Well, I'm just kind of really gonna echo it, but kind of less of it, to be honest. I mean, I haven't played the games. I haven't, seen it from beginning to end, as apparently this one's the end. And even though, Nigel rants about the backstory section, I'm, as someone who's never played the games, as I said, I'm glad they're there, because you can get a gist of the story. I'm not going to get all the ins and outs and everything. But, it's something, so I'm not confused about, what happens next. Because obviously you then get the main, isn't the main guy sort of the one who created the whole...
it was Major Zero. Major Zero who messed everything up.
Yeah, because he's the one that then, they turn off his life support and he slowly dies, but, they still care about him, and, it kind of does still make you feel quite emotional, because obviously they're the ones that created him and made them the soldiers and all of that, yet they still turn around and care about him and look after him as he's dying. There's still the support that he needs. And then obviously Boss gets affected by that, whatever it is.
Fox die.
I don't know. I got the explanation, but it's still not something I'll register. He's being killed by that, and they get the. You do see it is the first time they've done father son, but it is still quite emotional that they have it all, and when he's slowly dying, and they finally get the father and son bond. Sorry, Nigel's kind of playing with Tiger. She's now doing a dance for some bizarre reason. But anyway, obviously as he's dying, very prolonged death. He doesn't quite go quickly.
Yeah, Fox doesn't. Not this new strain.
But, he takes 10 minutes to die.
Yeah, it was made to hurt him more than just kill him.
Fair enough, but you fell down and then got back up again, and you're like, oh, he might be able to get to a hospital and survive, but no, goes again. So you kind of have a few false, oh my god, he's gonna die sort of moments. So you're like, oh no, he's okay. To be honest, at first I was kind of like, is this the last time? When he drops the cigarette, it's like, is he finally dead? Okay, he's dead, and then started feeling really, really upset. I know it's kind of harsh, but he did kind of, keep. It looked like he was going to die a couple of times before that.
He died twice already.
When you know that fact as well, you're kind of like, is he dead? Is he completely dead? And I kind of will put another note on it. I do like it, the ending, because I'm one of them people who like a finished ending. So that, for me, that ending kind of felt like it wrapped everything up. Even though I didn't know the full story, it felt like all the loose ends with the explanation was completely tied up, and it was just finished at the same time. And you kind of, with that feeling for me, I kind of felt like Snake would be able to have the rest of his life would be good, sort of feeling. He wouldn't have to be the fighter anymore, which is what his dad boss said to him, which obviously I think is a really good thing, because family bonds, best thing out there.
So well done, Metal Gear Solid 4, for making me cry. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy this. This did something I won't forget to talk about. So, yeah, anyway, if you enjoyed, I'm going to do my normal spiel, just try and cheer up everyone up. Like, comment, tell me your favourite saddest moments, if that's possible to have a favourite sad moment. Saddest moments, and I'll try and play the game and watch it. Also, there's Facebook, subscribe, etc., etc. It means a lot to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.